Hello, I'm glad you've come. Tell me in the comments, what scares you? My backyard. It used to be just a backyard. Fences, a patchy lawn that always needed more water, the old oak tree my kids used to climb before they grew up and moved away. Suburban average. A place where nothing interesting, let alone wrong, ever happened. Or so I thought, anyway. It was a Tuesday, or maybe it was a Wednesday. The days blur now. It was the kind of summer day where the air hung thick with humidity, just before a storm was supposed to break. I was out, puttering around, trimming the overgrown hedges near the old, unused garden shed, trying to coax some order out of the wild roses. Routine. Mindless. That's exactly when I first saw it, or rather, first felt it. Right there, by the hedge line, where the grass usually struggled and the earth was often just packed dirt, was a patch. A small, unnaturally damp, boggy patch. It wasn't just wet. It was sinking. The ground gave way beneath my boot more than it should have, pulling at my foot. And the color of the earth there was off, darker, too dark, like rich black coffee grounds mixed with something else, something utterly foreign. It had an odd texture, not quite mud, not quite solid, like something that wanted to be liquid but couldn't quite decide. And then the smell hit me. Not like rotting leaves or standing water. This was a low, earthy scent, like disturbed soil after a long rain, but with something else underneath it. Something metallic, almost sweet, but fundamentally wrong. I told myself it was a burst pipe, or just a bad drainage spot from the recent heavy rains. I dismissed it, walked away. But the feeling of that sucking earth beneath my boot, that strange, impossible smell, it clung to me. A seed of something deeply unsettling, planted right there in my perfectly normal suburban backyard. I couldn't shake the feeling that this patch, this little mire, hadn't always just been a damp spot. It felt like it had just sunk into existence. That first patch, I tried to forget it, told myself it was just a strange occurrence, but days later, cutting the lawn, my eyes kept drifting back to that spot on the hedges. It was bigger. Not drastically, just subtly, like a stain on the carpet that had spread a little further while you weren't looking. Then came the other things. Around the edges of the mire, the rose bushes started looking wrong. Some leaves were impossibly vibrant, almost glowing green, healthier than they had any right to be. Others were sickly, mottled yellow-black with veins that pulsed faintly. And the insects, the usual buzzing of summer, disappeared near that patch. Instead, I'd find flies. Not ordinary flies. Big, sluggish things. Iridescent, clustered on the mire's edge. Their bodies bloated, not moving. As if they were part of the mire somehow. And the sounds. At first, I blamed the drainage. Blamed the pipes. A steady, soft gurgle. A liquid whisper. But it wasn't the drain. It was coming from the patch. Always a continuous internal movement, like something breathing in and out. In and out. I started checking it every day, measuring it, taking photos. That initial unease had sharpened into a quiet, nagging compulsion. I needed to know what it was, why it was there, and why it kept breathing. My backyard, It wasn't just average anymore. It had a heartbeat. A wet, slow, unsettling heartbeat. And I was starting to listen to its rhythm. The growth became undeniable. Not just a spread. It was an advance. Day by day, I could see it claiming more of the lawn, creeping towards the fence line, then towards the old oak tree. The moss that coated its surface grew thicker, slicker, glistening with something that wasn't due. My measurements, meticulously kept in a small notebook, showed a terrifying acceleration. It was alive, and it was hungry. The sounds were no longer ambiguous. It wasn't the drain or a neighbor's pond pump. This was a clear, rhythmic pulse, a wet, living breath from the earth itself. It was slow, deliberate, like a giant, unseen lung expanding and contracting beneath the soil. And it filled the quiet part of the backyard. You could feel it in your teeth if you stood close enough. And then the smell. It intensified. That same sickly, sweet, earthy, metallic tang. Sometimes it was almost repulsive, making my stomach clench. But other times, especially in the late afternoon, it would shift, become intoxicating. A strange, almost floral sweetness, mixed with something deep and ancient. It felt like it was pulling me, a siren song for the senses. I'd stand at the edge for long minutes, just breathing it in, feeling a strange calm, a sense of belonging, even as my mind screamed at me to run. The birds stopped singing near it. The squirrels vanished from that side of the yard. Even the neighborhood cats, usually fearless, would skirt wide around it, their fur bristling. Nothing natural wanted to be close, but I kept coming back, drawn by that pulse, by that impossible shifting scent. And the longer I stayed, the more peaceful and utterly terrified I felt. It was reaching for me, and a part of me, a part I didn't know existed, wanted to sink. I kept telling myself it was just a strange bog, a natural phenomenon, an unusual, rapidly expanding patch of earth. My mind fought against what my senses were screaming, until the day the lie shattered, the day I saw it feed. It was a squirrel, a young one, chasing something too close to the edge. It lost its footing, fell into the mire. I saw it. It struggled, its tiny claws scrambling against the slick, mossy surface. But it wasn't sinking slowly like in quicksand. It was being pulled relentlessly, like powerful, unseen hands dragging it down. The gurgling intensified, a hungry, satisfied sound. In less than 20 seconds, it was gone, pulled completely under the surface. I stood there, frozen, my breath caught in my throat, my mind racing for an explanation. But there was none. And then, the surface. Where the squirrel had just been, the dark, rich moss seemed to bubble. Slowly, distorted. And then, a small gray patch began to form. Not the squirrel, not even what was left of it, but a new, strange growth. A grayish, fuzzy patch expanding from the spot where the squirrel had vanished, subtly joining the mire's surface, growing into its strange, living texture. All denial evaporated. This wasn't water. It wasn't mud. It was alive. And it consumed. It absorbed. It transformed. My backyard wasn't just average anymore. It was a predator. Growing. Waiting. And I was standing on its hunting ground. After the squirrel, after seeing it absorb, digest, and transform, I barricaded myself inside, locked every door, sealed every window, but it didn't matter. The mire had already found a way in. I started noticing the dampness first, not just from humidity. A cold, clinging moisture on the inside of the windows, even when they were closed tight. A faint, slick film on the kitchen counter, quickly wiped away, but always returning. And the smell, that sweet, earthy, metallic tang. It wasn't just outside anymore. It was in the hallway, in the living room, in my bedroom, like the house itself was breathing it in. But then it became more personal. I'd wake up and my skin would feel clammy, not just sweat. A strange, cool dampness that lingered even after showering, and my mouth a peculiar, earthy taste, like soil after a rain, but mingled with that mire scent, metallic and sweet. I'd brush my teeth, drink water, but it wouldn't go away. It was inside me, a part of me. My thoughts felt sluggish, like wading through thick water. When I listened very closely, in the dead of night, I could hear it, the low, rhythmic of the mire's breath. But it wasn't coming from outside the walls anymore. It was coming from within them, from beneath the floorboards, from the ceiling. And then the terrifying understanding dawned. That pulse, that slow, steady beat, it was no longer just the mire's. It was becoming mine. It isn't just a backyard anymore. It's in the foundation, in the air, in the water I drink. It's a slow sinking, and I am becoming part of its embrace. The mire. It breathes through me now. The dates, they stopped mattering. The time, it began to stretch, to dissolve. The mire consumes more than just earth and bone. It consumes days. It consumes thoughts. My backyard is gone. The house, it's just an extension now. Its foundations are damp and breathing. I tried to call for help. The words felt thick, heavy, like my tongue was growing roots. The phone felt strange in my hand, slick with that unnatural dampness, and when I spoke into it, my own voice sounded wrong, distant, as if it wasn't coming from my throat, but from deeper, from the mire itself. No one answered, or perhaps no one heard, only the mire. It always hears. The lines blur now, between me and it. The smell, it's inside my lungs. My skin feels like moss. The pulse, it's everywhere. In the air, in my blood. My thoughts, they're dissolving, merging with its hunger. This isn't a bog. It's a vastness. Older than anything. And I'm sinking into its embrace. Stay tuned.